coverage.
More experience.
More stats.
And that's final.
ET Final Score is brought to you by Ashley Furniture.
Hello, football fans, and welcome to our ETFinalScore.com high school preview show. I'm Joe Buie, your host this week, and I'm joined first by Harold Wilson, who works for the Tyler Morning Telegraph and ETFinalScore.com. Harold covers the John Tyler Lions and District 16 4A. Welcome, Harold. And I know JT's got a game 2 of district play coming up, right?
Yes.
Against Lindale. But before we kind of get into that game, let's talk about how John Tyler was able to get its offense going last week against Corsicana.
Well, you know, they had 2 weeks to get ready. They had a bye week before starting district play, so they were able to rest. They were able to get healthy. They had a lot of guys on offense that were nicked up, banged up, including quarterback Greg Ward. He came out, had his best game of the year, 29 of 32, 382 yards, 5 touchdowns passing, another touchdown running, and 70 more yards on the ground. So he was the key to the offense. You had everybody back healthy. I thought they made a key move, moving DeQuante Woods from the slot to the running back position. They scored on every drive. Their first 9 drives, ended the game at the 23-yard line of Corsicana. So the offense played about as good as you could ask.
Wow, that reminds me of last year a whole lot.
Yeah, and that was the first game you really saw it all come together. People were starting to wonder, myself included, you know, when is this team gonna get into the next gear? And I called it third gear in non-district. I think they're at fourth gear with still maybe one more gear to get to.
Right. So do you think last week's performance is a sign of things to come?
I think so, because one, they're a little healthier, and let's just be honest, they're at 4A now. I mean, no knock to the district opponents, but John Tyler faced the kind of schedule that got them ready for now, playing teams like Lee, Lufkin, Mesquite Horn. Those teams have a lot of depth. They're a little more physical. They also played the team from Mexico that was a lot better than people may realize. And also they played Lancaster, the number 2 team in 4A, one of the more athletic teams in Texas, kind of like a version of DeSoto in 4A. So John Tyler's very battle-tested, and this district, other than White House and John Tyler, is struggling. So it looks like JT should be able to put up numbers from here on out.
That's a great point to bring up, the fact that the non-district schedule really prepared them well.
Yep.
All right, so given that, then how does John Tyler compare to last year at this same point?
You know, they've got a better record. You know, they've got 5 wins last year. They split the first 6 games, started out 0-3. So on that note, they're better. I think the thing with this team this year is the expectations are so high. You almost think they're not playing well enough, because it was coming into the season, it was almost like if John Tyler loses, it'll be a surprise. But, you know, if you look at it compared to last year at this time, this is when they started to pick it up, but they've got more wins right now. But the key thing, Joe, is defense. John Tyler's defense is a whole lot better than they were last year, giving up 16.8 points a game, and that's what could possibly allow this team to finish what last year's team couldn't.
Exactly. All right, well, as we said at the top of the show, John Tyler is playing Lindale this week, and Harold analyzed Lindale through 6 games.
Well, you know, they're kind of like Corsicana, you know, the team JT faced last year. Just a lot of injuries. I believe 3 of their top guys on offense out for the season. Well, actually, AC may come back, running back Trey AC, but DeMarcus Lynch, Josiah Johnson, those guys are gone. Those were 2 key weapons Lindale was dependent on. So when you lose those kind of guys, it's really hard to deal with. They're 1-5. Started the year off strong, you know, beating Chapel Hill. That was a big win. Chapel Hill was defending state champions, came into that game with a lot going for them. But since then, Lindale hasn't won a game. Now you're asking a lot going against a JT team that's just rolling. I mean, and this is going to be the first ever meeting. So I think a lot of John Tyler people, even though JT's expected to be the favorite, there's still some intrigue because they've never played Lindale. So you're probably going to have a lot of support from the JT fans.
Now, Harold, where's the game and what time is kickoff?
It's 7:30 p.m. Friday at Lindale's Eagle Stadium. And John Tyler's fans are actually going to sit on the press box side. They're only going to be allotted 2,500 tickets. So if all those tickets sell out before Friday's game, there won't be any tickets available on John Tyler's side. So fans are encouraged to go ahead and get their tickets as soon as they can, because this is expected to be a sellout. And I think they seat 6,200 at the stadium. So it should be a very interesting game.
And didn't they kind of redo their stadium?
Yes. They renovated, I believe, in 2010. That home side looks very nice. I think they got some additional locker rooms. They spruced that up a little bit, including for the officials. So it's got a nice little look to it.
And finally, Harold, talk about the historical elements of this matchup.
You know, John Tyler gets some of their students from the Swan community, which is basically a part of Lindale, brushes right up against Lindale. So these two communities know a lot about each other. Actually, sometimes you see people even maybe leave John Tyler, go to Lindale, and vice versa. So it's going to be interesting because, you know, they've never played a football game. John Tyler's been searching for their rival, that new rival, to replace Robert E. Lee in district. White House has kind of stepped up to the plate. Now you got a chance to play another school in Smith County. So it's going to be intriguing to see maybe the start of something new and get started here.
All right, Harold, anything else we need to add?
Oh, that's about it.
All right. Well, Harold, thanks for joining us. All right, I've got Chris Perry next to me now, who covers the Robert E. Lee Red Raiders. The Red Raiders are coming off an open week, and boy, they need a win in the worst way, something that Rockwall was able to get last week. Lee plays Rockwall this week. Kind of talk about what the coaches at Lee are saying this week.
Well, they definitely do need a win in the worst way. You summed it up there. Rockwall gave Lee a hand last week. I know when you look at it, you're thinking, wow, Rockwall beat North Mesquite, who Lee just lost to 2 weeks ago. That's probably not very good for Lee. But actually it helps Lee because it muddles up the standings now. Now you got a bunch of teams that are 1 and 2, and that's good for Lee because that's how you get yourself into there. If North Mesquite would have won, then you'd have 3 teams who are way ahead of everybody else, and Lee be trying to catch up. Now there's more spots that they could still try to jump into. So that actually worked out, I think, in Lee's benefit. Of course, it also means that Rockwall's now feeling good about themselves, and they're coming off a district victory coming to Tyler.
And the game is Friday night at Rose Stadium.
Friday night homecoming at Trinity Mother Francis Rose Stadium.
All right. Chris, what did Robbie Lee spend the open week working on?
Not turning the ball over. No, they had, and of course, and that's a little bit of a joke, but seriously, when you turn the ball over 5 times in a football game, you're just not going to win. I mean, you're not going to win. The New England Patriots can't win if you turn the ball over 5 times. Yeah. Basically, they're going to have to hold on to the football, be sound in the running and the passing game, which I'm not saying something here that I'm not breaking the mold with what you have to try to do to win the game here, but they have to be sound with their running game. Terrence Simmons showed a real burst, the senior running back, and really just his first. He's only played really 2 games of big time action. You know, as he was kind of working his way into the lineup, he almost ran for 100 yards in the second half. Same thing he did the week before. So I think they're really going to try to use him more and more. Of course, they have LaQuintus Wallace, who's shown he can be a banger and a bruiser. He can also get good yards. And Riley Poster, quarterback. I think it's going to help Poster to have that running game going strong, because then that gets play action. And of course, when you're down 21-0 or 28-0 like that, off a fumble, at your own 10, and then another turnover, and everything snowballs, it's tough because they know you're going to throw the football. I mean, they're back there just waiting for it. Yeah. So I think it all depends. Everything goes off the running game and the play action, and Lee has to. This is an absolute, I'm saying this right now, they have got to have a good start. I know sometimes they say, hey, you can come back, it's character building. Well, Lee has come back before, but when you're coming off loss, they've got to have a good start. I think that was a big reason why they beat Texas High, is because even though they kind of struggled in the middle, they got that 65-yard touchdown on the first play of the game, and they were able to ride that out through some of their inconsistencies to win the football game. Bottom line, it doesn't care. I don't think that Coach Piskey cares if it's 3-0, 31-30, 59-58. They just need to get a W.
Sounds like this ought to at least be a close game. Rockwall and Lee aren't exactly new to each other. Kind of talk about the last time they played, a little bit of their history.
They were formerly in the same district against each other, 2004 and 2005, before realignment kind of moved them away from each other. They have not played since 2005, and they split their games. Lee won handily in 2004, and then Rockwall. That was kind of the beginning of the Rockwall was no longer going to be the poster boy for losses. That was Coach Smith had kind of they were moving in, and they beat Lee 21-14, which was a bit of which was an upset at the time because Robert Lee was coming off a state championship season in 2005, and of course Rockwall's had gone on and had other success in another district. So they know each other, but this is the first time in 7 years that they're going to meet on the gridiron. And I'm looking forward to it because so much is at stake for both teams.
What are some strengths of Rockwall?
when you look at the statistics, they're so balanced, and I know that sounds cliche, but they really are. I mean, they have they've attempted, I think, 122 passes, and their top running back, Chris Warren, has rushed 121 times. That's as balanced as it gets right there. So you really don't know what you're going to get, except that with Warren has rushed for almost 800 yards. I'm looking at it. Look, I think he has 11 touchdowns, 779 yards. Of course, Chris Warren is the son of the Seattle Seahawks running back of the same name, who played in the 90s. Us old guys, we actually watched him play. And he's only a sophomore, so the sky's the limit. Yeah. So again, it seems like Lee's facing another good running back in this district. Yeah. But they've got to be wary of the passing game, because Rockwell's shown he can do it. But it basically, they've rushed for 700 something yards, and they passed for 700 something yards. So it balances the word. I think Lee just cannot turn the ball over. I think if Lee doesn't turn the ball over, does what it can do in the running and the passing game, because they've shown that they can do both with success as long as they don't shoot themselves in the foot. I think Lee can do enough to win this game, especially at home. Lee plays better at home. It's the homecoming crowd. A lot is going to be at stake. Should be a good crowd, and I think that is going to help power the Red Raiders to their first district victory. And last thing, what would you say Lee's strength has been this year? We know they've struggled, but has there been one spot that has consistently shown up? Their running game has been very consistent, except against John Tyler, and then they lost 21-0 that night. I think it was 21. So that's something that everything feeds off their running game. And when you've got LaQuintus Wallace and LaTerrence Simmons and Marcus White, these guys are dynamic ball carriers that they want to try to use. Yeah. But the problem is they've been using them, and then 4 or 5 plays later, there's either a fumble or there's something else, and everything gets messed up. So I do believe, but I also think that Lee's got some good wide receivers, but their passing game, if you look at the numbers, have gotten less and less and less and less with each week these last couple weeks. So I think that they're going to open it up. Yeah. They're definitely going to open it up more with Poster in the passing game and try to get those big plays. All right. Out of the which come off the running game. All right, Chris. Anything else we need to add about the Red Raiders? Well, the fair is over. Yeah. So every week I tell people get there early. Yeah. I think it's going to be a good atmosphere. I think even though Lee is struggling, it's crazy how the district season works. They can turn things around. All they have to do is just get that first W, and then maybe that can lead to the next one and the next one and the next one. But it's a must-win, right? It's a must-win. I mean, it's a must-win, and it should be. Yeah. If you're the third district game of the season, you've got to eventually put some victories on the right, on the left side of the board. All right, Chris. Thanks for joining us.